Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, the one and only Dog Waters is back. And I tried to say this. It had to be less than a week ago. I was talking about Stephen A. Smith and how Stephen A. Smith was getting active. Remember, we traced Stephen A. Smith's movement from being, let's just say, center left, because Stephen would say he's never was a leftist. And I can't agree with, although he was full Black Lives Matter, full kneel for the American flag, full blah social justice. That's extreme left, as far as I'm concerned. But he navigated, he migrated, he packed up his bags, you know what I'm saying? And he started moving. Remember? You know what I'm saying? Like on that TV show Beverly Hills where they found the Earl and they moved their house to the Beverly Hills when they found that Earl. He started moving and gravitating. First move was he went to Chris Cuomo's brother's show and started having conversations with him, started showing conservative leanings, and then he kept on going on that show. Then he went on some other people's shows, and after a while, he ended up with Brandon Tatum, having, just a normal conversation, a great conversation. You know what I'm saying? The two of them agreeing on certain things and disagreeing on certain things, and he made a mistake. He thought that because Brandon Tatum and people of his ilk will have a conversation with him and engage in a conversation with him and discuss narratives that everybody else that was black was going to do that for you. No, Stephen A. Smith. No, son. Hell to the no. That's not how it works. And so now Stephen A. Smith is under attack from his people. Your people are attacking you, Stephen. And it's just getting started, dog. You want to know why? Because they got to put you back in your place. Yeah, they got to put you back in your place. Hold on. Let's take a listen to what Stephen said. Then we'll listen to Stephen's response. Then we're going to listen to what they said about Stephen. All right, y'all ready for it? You ready? Okay, let's do this. All right, let's start with what the man said. We want to get a man a fair shake. Nah, Stephen is Stephen. This how he wrote. And he always, I don't care what nobody say, he always been straight talker. When he was a leftist, he was straight with his leftism. I mean, when he was a Black Lives Matter, kneeling on the football field supporter, he was straight talking that. So I expect him to just talk straight, right? Don't you?
When I point to a Jasmine Crockett, is because here's what I know. All I ever hear her doing is going off about Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, can I tell you what my belief is? I have no desire to be a politician. Let me reiterate that. And I appreciate House Leader, Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries speaking to me in the way that he did by saying that I speak with the frustration of the American people, because you damn right I do. Let me tell you what gets me annoyed. And I hope Jasmine Crockett is listening to this. And by the way, she's welcome on the show. When you go on national television and you calling the president of the United States out of his name and you're being all disrespectful, as a representative in this country, do you believe the citizens of Texas sent you there to do that? They don't like him either. I'm talking about those who voted for her in all likelihood. But because he is who he is and he is in that position, they expect you to go to Capitol Hill and figure out a way to maneuver yourself through that terrain to work in a fashion that's going to facilitate getting things done on behalf of your constituents. That's your job. That's your job. Excuse my language on Sirius XM, but it ain't your job to say he ain't shit. He ain't worth a damn. That's not your job. Anybody can do that. He's a deal maker. And if you figure out a way to make him look good in any way, quid pro quo is something he lives by. He'll reciprocate. If you know that, why you can't figure it out? Is that hard?
That was some common sense advice that he gave to Jasmine Crockett. Did anybody hear anything bad about that? I didn't hear anything bad. I didn't make sense to me. You are politicians. You need to go make a deal with the president to get what you need for your people. If I was in office, which I ain't never running for office because I'm retarded and crazy, I will be the dude fighting on the floor of Congress. Yeah. You say something, I'll be like, hey, bro, let's come on, let's go outside. No. Let's go outside. No, we going out. Let's go out the back. Where the fire door at? We're going out the fire exit and we going to fight. And then it'll be, oh, man, Congress William Williams punched him in the face. Yeah. Because that's what we need to get to because y'all play too many games. I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. I'm not cut from that cloth. But the problem that Stephen A. Smith has is he decided he was going to give advice unsolicited to the black community. Yeah, you can't give unsolicited advice to the black community, Stephen A. Smith. I'm sorry. They don't want your advice. I learned that a long time ago. Don't want your advice? Don't give unsolicited. I don't give unsolicited advice at all. By damn sure, don't give unsolicited advice to black folk. You got to ask me for what I know. You got to say, hey, I want your advice on this. And I say, you sure? You want to hear what I got to say? You sure? Yeah, I want to know. Are you sure? Then I give you my advice. I don't just run around and give it. So that's what Stephen said. Nothing out of hand to me, but it's a critique of Jasmine Crockett and actually holding her accountable for doing her job. But she don't want to be held accountable. No, you can't. There's no accountability. No, don't hold me accountable. And here he is when he replies to the things that have been said about him.
But I felt compelled to come on the air a little bit earlier this week after what I've had to endure this weekend. What I had to endure this weekend were an abundance of people talking a whole lot of stuff about me because they did not like what I had to say about Representative Jasmine Crockett. She is a Democrat out of Texas, Texas's 30th congressional district. Her work, and her verbiage and all of that stuff speaks for itself. And she has become, a big time public figure in essence, not just as a representative, but speaking out on a plethora of issues involving the current administration and the White House, et cetera, et cetera. And I made some noise last week because I had the temerity, the unmitigated gall to say this about Representative Crockett when talking about the state of our politics in the midst of a government shutdown, by the way, that has unfolded since October 1st. But I felt compelled.
That's why I hate clips, because we didn't get his response. Hold on, I got to go get the response. I'll be back. I'll be right back. Hold on.
And all the nonsense that I've heard over the last few days is why it can get exhausting. Because nothing frustrates me more than when people have the truth at their disposal and they choose maybe not lie, maybe not even embellish, but allow their emotions to usurp facts and all of a sudden want to use that as an excuse to label me as being something and doing something I'm neither not nor have I done, which in this case is disrespecting Representative Crockett out of Texas, who, by the way, has had an invite to this show for weeks, by the way. Governors Josh Shapiro and Spencer Cox came on this show. Senator Lindsey Graham came on this show. Joe Manchin, now retired, came on this show. Bill O'Reilly, Bill Maher came on this show. Okay? And more are coming. And she has an invite. And AOC has an invite. Hakeem Jeffries, Democratic House leader, he just was on this show. I've invited Jasmine Crockett. I have nothing but respect for her. I just disagree on what she's making headlines for because I think it's counterproductive to the ultimate goal. But yet, here we are. And the word disrespect comes in and people try to engage with words, like disrespect and implying misogyny and all of this other nonsense. Stop it. Stop it. Can we be grown-ups and deal with what the real issue is involving what I said?
Stephen A. Smith got a long way to go. Stephen, if I was your advisor, I'd have said, Stephen, don't reply to them. Go on, do your next show. I wouldn't have replied to nothing they said. Because at this point in time, Stephen, You are the bad guy because you do not agree with them. Ain't nothing you said wrong. In fact, Stephen A. Smith said something that needs to be said about many politicians that represent every community, not just the black community. Any politician, black or white, that's gone to Congress or Senate and they have spent their time attacking the president of the United States while he's doing everything he can to usher in like the best stock market, to usher in all the best things for the American people. And you know that that president is a deal maker and you don't go make a deal for your constituents, you are failing your constituents. And the reality of it is, this is the true reality of the issue of what's going on. You see, the American people are not the constituents of the Democratic Party. We have seen this. Are they protecting? Who did they just close the government down for? Healthcare for what? Illegal aliens. And so the entire argument is flawed at its core when you deal with the reality of it, because she does not represent her district. Although she should represent her district, that the base element, they don't represent their districts. They don't represent their constituents. They call them their residents. Yeah, the residents of their district. I mean, anybody who resides there. I mean, quite simply, Stephen A. Smith, you shouldn't have gave them that advice. And I know he honestly wants to speak the truth, and he spoke 100% truth, but truth does not matter to these people. The truth does not matter. It just doesn't. Sorry, it just don't matter. Logic and common sense don't matter. None of it matters. It was a waste. It's a waste of your time and a waste of your energy. And it's just, this ain't just having to do with black people. This is leftists in general. Truth does not matter. Because anybody who can sit here and watch what's going on in Memphis or what happened in Washington, D.C., realizes that truth don't matter. Only the agenda matters. And you get in the way of that agenda, you become the bad guy. And the problem that Stephen A. Smith has is, you see, black conservatives tend not to be violent. Now, you're not going to really have a black conservative walk up to Stephen A. Smith and punch him or try and beat on him. Oh, but boy, a black liberal. Oh, yeah, they will turn violent in a heartbeat. And so, Stephen, I hope you got some hands on you when you go to the basketball game, because Stephen likes to go to the basketball game. You might want to get, you can't get brass knuckles in, but there's these plastic knuckles that you can get into anywhere. And you don't really need, it's just plastic knuckles. But it's not like brass, but it definitely has an impact. But you better keep it on your keychain. Nobody even gonna look at it. Just put it on your keychain, throw it in there. They ain't gonna even notice it. Keep it on your keychain. Slide it on your hand. While you're at that basketball game, somebody run up on you acting crazy. You gotta put hands on them. Put hands on them with that, Stephen. I'm just saying, because you put yourself in a danger zone. Now, let's go listen to what people are saying about Stephen A. Smith real quick. Here's the Breakfast Club on Stephen A. Smith.
So you said Stephen A. is in hot water. Stephen A. is not in hot water because this is exactly what he does. He says things and people respond to it. He is provocative. He gets the people going, right? It's all content. Everybody just making content. So it makes for good conversation. Now, as far as what he said about Jasmine Crockett, and me and Stephen A. spoke about this behind the scenes this week, but I don't think any elected official is above critique, but you got to criticize their policy. And it seems like Stephen A. is criticizing her style. And if you are criticizing her style and telling her she needs to change her style to be able to get things done, but also telling her to do that, to get things done with one of the most uncouth political figures ever in Donald Trump, then I got to say that, you bugging. All right. Trump talks crazy. So you can't call out Jasmine for allegedly talking crazy, his words, but not Trump. And I also believe that, Tamika Mallory and Bakari Sellers, they need to have a conversation with Stephen A. They should go on Stephen A's show and explain to him why playing nice with Trump doesn't work. And I have no problem with Jasmine Crockett and her opposition or her resistance to Trump. I have no problem with her calling out Trump and challenging the president of the United States of America. Yeah, I have no problem.
Are you noticing the trend? Let's just think logically, all right? Like if we're on a show and we would think logically, what has Jasmine Crockett accomplished? I mean, let's go take a look. It really doesn't, you don't necessarily have to do this, but what has Jasmine Crockett accomplished? What legislation has she passed, right? What bills has she passed? And if you haven't passed anything, you haven't done anything, if you've done minimum, and you've been there this whole time, and the whole time you've just been a mouthpiece, then you've not accomplished anything. So there's no defending the way you go about doing it because you've accomplished nothing. Hold on, let's just go look. Just so we not crazy. So I went to Grok, right? Grok. Went to Grok. I said, hey, Grok, what has Jasmine Crockett done? Right? Let's see what Jasmine Crockett has done. Here it is. 118th Congress, 2003 to 2004. During her first time, Representative Jasmine Crockett sponsored 22 bills with a focus on civil rights and voting, none advanced beyond committee referral. All right. 119th Congress, 2025 to 2026. She sponsored 35 bills, continuing her focus on accountability and equity. One bill advanced a committee report recommendation, but none have passed the House. So essentially, she's sponsored 22 bills, and nothing's got through. And I can tell you why nothing probably got through. And we're talking about 2023 to 2024, which is when, what's your boy name? Joe Biden was in office. So you can't just say, oh, it's Donald Trump stopping her. Donald Trump was not in there in 2023. Joe Biden was there in 2023. So you didn't get nothing done when Joe Biden was there. And then you partially got something done since Donald Trump has been in office. And so this conversation about Jasmine Crockett, it should be based upon merit in what you've done, but that's not what's happening because nobody wants to be held accountable. You cannot hold black people accountable on things, especially not black politicians. You can't hold them accountable. You can't walk through their district and say, hey, man, your net worth is $150 million and you've been sitting on this committee for 2 years, but your whole neighborhood, your whole district is dilapidated with no development, with no nothing. Oh, no, that's attack. That's racist. That's attacking the person. And because Stephen A. Smith is black, he can't be a racist. So Stephen A. Smith has to be some type of sellout. Stephen A. Smith has to be tripping. Stephen A. Smith somebody needs to go sit down. Two women need to go sit down with Stephen A. Smith and get him together. You need to get it together, boy. Sorry, Stephen. Sorry it come down to this, but you shall know the truth and the truth shall make you free. Welcome to freedom, Stephen A. Smith. Welcome to freedom.